Hello you guys, welcome back to my channel. It's time for part 2 of my Instagram Q&A with you guys. Sit down, grab a glass of wine or a snack for this second part, as it's probably going to be like half an hour long. So thank you guys for watching and let's get right into it. Do you speak any other languages? No. I speak beginner level Japanese and beginner level Korean, but it's very rough. So I don't consider that as me being able to speak any other languages. And I also fail at French, so no, just English. And what's your favorite season? I love summer and winter. I hate in between seasons because from where I lived in Canada, in between seasons were usually wet and miserable. So spring is wet and miserable and fall is usually wet, windy, and miserable. So I really like the summer and the winter where it's like a solid season. Like that's what you get type thing, you know? Is there any special meaning to your name and is it common or uncommon in Canada? There is no special meaning. My mom just heard it once and liked it and remembered it and wanted to call me it. And it's very uncommon in Canada. So that's why I always go by B instead of Bronwyn, just because a lot of people through my entire life could not pronounce my name for the life of them or remember it. But for some reason in Australia, it's more common and people like know how to pronounce it right away. And when I introduce myself as B, they get confused, but when I say Bronwyn, they're like, oh yeah, okay. And I'm like, what? It's so opposite from what I'm used to. Where do you get your knowledge of vitamins and minerals in foods? Well, it's because like, I'm one of those people who Googles whenever there's something wrong with them. So I'm constantly Googling things and finding stuff out because since high school I found out I had like a vitamin B deficiency. So I was always like cautious about stuff like that, and then just ever since then I've been really into like vitamins. So whenever I'm like eating a food, I'm like, I wonder what this has in it, so I Google it. And it's just kind of been like a growing knowledge of me Googling from curiosity, and then it just kind of stuck. So yeah. What inspired you to do YouTube and the things you do now? Michelle Phan, because back 6 years ago when I started YouTube, I did it so casually that I don't even consider myself a YouTuber back then, but Michelle Phan was originally who inspired me to start doing YouTube, and it just kind of grew from there, and just in the past 2 to 3 years I started taking it more seriously. You said that you have really seriously damaged hair. What do you do to keep it tamed and looking healthy? I actually just finished filming a video on that, so definitely subscribe to my beauty channel, biibiibap, to see my tips for keeping hair healthy and smooth and nice. How do you find Melbourne so far? Is it cheaper compared to Tokyo or Seoul? I'm sorry, I almost laughed when I read that question, but no, it is like 3 times more expensive than Tokyo, and like 5 times more expensive than Seoul, the cost of living in Australia, which is why I barely ever leave my house and just continue to do videos from home, is because it's so expensive to go out and do anything. Korea is the most affordable to live in, the cost of living. Tokyo is second, it's like, and then Melbourne is very similar to Canada for cost of living, so it's very expensive to live here. You don't have any plans to visit Tokyo? Don't you miss your friends? Obviously I miss my friends, jeez. Yeah, I miss them a lot, and I don't have plans to visit there because flight is expensive, and I don't have a home there anymore, so I'd have to find a place to stay, and it's expensive to go back there. I just came from there, so I don't have all the money in the world, so I wish I could travel around more often, but traveling's expensive and I can only afford about maybe 2 major flights a year at most. So Melbourne to Tokyo is a big flight. It's 10 hours and it's not cheap. So I definitely can't afford another one of that since I'm going to be going to Canada instead this year. But hopefully in 2018 I'd be able to visit Emily again, or maybe she can come here, who knows. But yeah, I miss everyone very much all the time. Will I go to G-Dragon concert this Saturday? I'm actually not a G-Dragon fan or much of a K-pop fan. I've never really been huge on K-pop. I tried getting into it like 4 or 5 years ago, but I just couldn't really. Like I tried, but I don't know, I'm not really a huge K-pop fan, so no, I won't be going to the concert. Are you going to be doing more DIY videos for your place? If I get a chance, but right now I don't really have the extra money to be buying a bunch of stuff, so yeah. maybe later, but for now I don't have anything planned. What country would you like to move to or live in next? Just Canada. I'm kind of over like moving countries. It's really hard and it's really stressful, and it's just annoying because as soon as you feel settled, you have to get up and move again, and it's just too much stress. So I'm kind of, after like doing it 3 times, I'm kind of like, I'm over it. I'd love to travel and visit countries, but to get up and move and pack up your life, I'm kind of over that now. What were your hopes, dreams, and goals when you were young? Do you think the person you are now would make your younger self proud? Yeah. I think who I am now would make my younger self proud in a sense, but I was one of those little girls who had the image that by the time I was like 25, I would be married with kids and be this beautiful blonde woman and just be living this fabulous, luxurious life and be like in my home and have my family surrounded by me. So it's a bit opposite from what I had imagined, but like I think I'd still be proud. I never was the little girl who thought I'd be living abroad ever in my life. Like even a year before living in Korea, I never in my life thought I would be living in Korea the next year. So everything is surprising for me, and my life is going in a really different direction than I had planned as a kid, but I'm kind of down for going with the flow, you know. Are you planning to visit New York City soon or plan to in the future? Maybe when I'm back in Canada, I'll do like a road trip down there, because I'm from Ontario, so it's not that far of a drive, I don't think, to get to New York City. But I don't know, New York has never been a city that's really been on my hit list, like, to go to. I've always been more interested in like, not even, I don't know, like Greece, Italy, India, and Asian countries, and Australia, and South America. Those are the countries that interest me the most, or areas of the world that interest me the most. New York has never really been one for me for some reason. I don't know why, it just doesn't really. But I do want to go someday, so maybe someday in my life I'll make a trip down there. How do you deal with the nature in Australia? Are the bugs big? Like I said before, I've only been in Australia for the winter season, so I have no idea yet. So you'll have to see in the summer season if stuff gets crazy. If you could go back to Japan, would you live in the countryside or the city? I think I'd do in between, because I like having best of both worlds. How do I deal with online hate? I just don't read it. People online are the nastiest people I've ever met or seen in my life. So I just don't read it, because I wouldn't be able to handle how mean people are. Have you experienced reverse culture shock since living in Australia from Japan? Yeah, definitely. But I think I'm over it now. Like in the first 1 month to 2 months, it definitely was there. But now I'm over it. This might seem weird, but do you ever get waxed? No, I've actually never waxed my legs or anywhere before. But I was thinking recently I might wax my legs, because like I had got ingrown hairs in Japan once from shaving and then wearing tight jeans for the full day after it. And I've never had ingrown hairs on my legs before, and that was the first time, and they're still recovering from it. So I was thinking I might try like at-home wax strips on my legs and see how it goes. Because everyone's always pro waxing, but I've always been too afraid to try. But I've come to the conclusion I have a pretty good pain tolerance, so I think I'd be fine. What did you study? I studied cosmetic management and business, so yeah, skincare and the business side of skincare and makeup and the beauty industry. Also some graphic design. Yeah. This one's a good question. Does vlogging get in the way of your relationship sometimes? Absolutely. Absolutely, which is why I don't vlog with Kyle. And for some reason, a lot of you guys, or some of you guys, are trying to make these claim comments on my videos saying my relationship's bad and unhealthy. You guys, you gotta realize not everyone wants to be on YouTube. My relationship is totally fine, and I don't show Kyle in my videos because I respect his comfort and his privacy. Not everyone wants to be on YouTube and stuff like that, and you guys need to see that. Just because my relationship isn't one where we're a YouTube couple doesn't mean that we're an unhealthy relationship. He just doesn't want his privacy on the internet, and I respect him for that. And you guys need to understand that too, that not every relationship is public for the world to view. And yeah, you just gotta get that. It's actually been bugging me a lot recently. A lot of people are trying to claim I have an unhealthy relationship, and it's like, you don't know my relationship. Like, there's a lot of stuff you guys don't see. So my relationship's perfectly fine and healthy, and we are really, really happy. and we have a lot of long-term plans for each other, and he just doesn't want to be on YouTube. In fact, he got me this wine last night with fancy cheese. He just came home with fancy wine and cheese for me. So yeah, what about that? Just didn't vlog it. Best and worst part about living abroad. Well, obviously the best part is that you're living abroad and traveling and meeting new people. Living abroad kind of like changes who you are as a person. And sometimes I get comments on my videos saying I've changed as well when people are commenting about videos from before I started traveling. And it's because traveling changes you as a person. Like, you become cultured and experienced, and you kind of become more humble, I feel like. Well, most people do. So yeah, it changes you in a good way, I feel like. You just kind of are more like knowledgeable, and you're more humble and like more chill with people and understanding of people and stuff like that. Worst part is family. I miss my family so much, and every day I get stressed about, like, you know, what if something happens? Like, even last year there was a car accident. Like, my sister and my dad were in a big car accident on the 401, and like, that's terrifying to me because I'm abroad. What would I do? I wouldn't even have had the money at the time to go home and see them if it was really, really, really bad. So that kind of stuff goes through my mind every day, and it's really terrifying for me, which is why I don't really want to live abroad for much longer, just because I really value my family, and I want to be with them, and it makes me sad thinking about stuff like that. Nose update. This is my nose. This is what it looks like. It's fine. It's doing nothing. It feels the same. Feels normal. I don't know. There isn't really anything to update about it. Like, it's fine. It's my nose. There's like literally nothing going on. It is what it is. What do you miss most least about life in Japan? I miss my friends the most. The least is, like, the least thing, the thing I miss the least is the difficulty of living in an Asian country where you don't speak the language fluently. Sometimes things are just really difficult and intimidating. Some days you're really intimidated to go out, sometimes you just don't want to deal with it, and other days it's really easy. So I don't miss that. Like, I can go out any day in Australia and be fine. If I get lost, I can go up to someone and ask them and not worry if they will understand what I'm trying to ask, or if I'll be able to understand them. So yeah, if that makes sense. Can I meet you? Yeah, when I do a meet and greet, springtime here or summertime here in Melbourne, I'll do a meet and greet. Oh, this is a good question. How do you cope with making life-changing decisions that set you on a path of being more independent or isolated? Like moving to Korea or Japan solo? Well, the thing is, when I moved to Korea, it wasn't solo. I was moving to Korea to be with Kyle because he was going there to work as an English teacher to pay off his student debt because there was no jobs in Canada at the time that he could get. Like, he was trying so hard for the longest time. So he moved to Korea to pay off his debt and stuff. So the decision to move there was really heart-wrenching, and it was really hard, and it was extremely stressful, but it wasn't as stressful as my decision to move to Japan, because when I moved to Japan, I literally was moving there solo, and I knew Kim, but I only met her twice before that in Korea, so she wasn't a close friend at the time. So it was really scary, and I spent a lot of nights like rethinking my decision and, you know, trying to find ways to mentally cope with the separation between me and Kyle, not being able to see him for a year, because we've never been apart for that long before that. We were always together. Like, the longest we've ever been apart before that was 3 months or 4 months? No, 3 months. So there was a lot of nights where I just broke down and cried my eyes out, and it was really hard to do. It was really, really hard to do, but I just kind of, like, for me, when I have to deal with really stressful things and decisions like that, I usually just shut off. Like, I have this ability where I can just shut my emotions off, and I kind of just become numb to everything. It's what I do when I travel. So if anyone ever sees me at an airport and I look absolutely blank, it's because, like, it's stressful for me, so I just emotionally, like, shut off to deal with the stresses of traveling and stuff like that. So that's how I cope, and then once I get out of the stressful situation, I just kind of, like, come back to life. But yeah, it's not easy coping with things like that, but you have to kind of force yourself to do it and find a way to, you know, put those horrible emotions to the side, to the back burner, and just get to where you need to be. You know, it's hard. Ooh, this one's a good one too. How did you meet Kyle? Also, what music do you listen to? Like I said before, I just listen to whatever. But how I met Kyle was actually in high school. So I met him in high school when I was in grade 10. And then we were good friends for 2 years after that. Then we didn't talk for a year. And then we met up again at the end of high school and started our relationship from there. So he was in university when we started our relationship, and I was exiting, like finishing high school, just getting out of it. Yeah, but I think we met through one of my old high school friends, and then after that we connected through like high school parties, and then became friends from there on, and then the relationship developed much later. Do you listen to BTS? Like I said before, I don't really listen to K-pop, and I'm not really into it, so no, I don't listen to BTS. Can we be friends? Sure, why not? And how do you find motivation to go everywhere and do so much? I don't know. I just kind of tell myself I need to get out of the house, and that's how I end up going out. Just like, you need to get out of the house, you know, for your soul. What's your favorite thing to eat in Australia? Pad Thai. And do you want pets? I have pets, but I'm not going to have pets in Australia because my apartment building doesn't allow it. But in Canada, I have 2 pets. I have a cat that I adopted in Korea and brought back home to Canada. And then my family dog, which is with my family. And I'm really excited to go back to Canada and see them. You guys don't even know. I miss my pets so much. Do you and Kyle plan to move back to Canada someday? Yes, hopefully in a year or 2. Do you plan to visit Europe someday? Of course, I would love to, but it's not in the plan right now because that's a big investment, but I definitely want to. There's so many places in Europe I want to go on a trip to. And that's it for the Q&A. Anyway, you guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this Q&A video. Thank you for all your questions on my Instagram. It really was great talking to you guys. I love doing these kind of videos where I kind of bond with you and get even closer to my audience. It really makes me like happy and stuff. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Remember to thumbs up if you did, comment down below, and of course subscribe if you want to see more, and I will see you guys next time.